Hey everyone, and welcome to the Mark Warsh Show. I'm sure you've been hearing about the recent Silicon Valley Bank failure, but could it have been prevented if they had prioritized good business practices over woke thinking? We'll dive into that and more later on today, but first up, we're going to look at the debate surrounding ESG policies because it looks like there are some valid arguments against them. After that, we'll explore how a new political party, No Labels, has gained access to state ballots for 2024's presidential election, something Democrats need to keep an eye on. And finally, we'll discuss how Canadian Catholic high school student Josh Alexander was arrested and charged for expressing his beliefs about gender identity. It's a complex issue which raises important questions about free speech, gender identity, and religion in public education. So tune in as I break it all down for you. On the 29th of September 2023, Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, experienced a major failure. This bank, which primarily catered to technology workers and venture capital-backed startups, was the 16th largest bank in the United States. In fact, this was only second to Washington Mutual's collapse in 2008. While credit has to be given for SVB's attempt to prioritize ESG, environmental, social, and governance, over good business practices, it seems like this woke thinking may have been its downfall. It appears that Tom Quadman of U.S. Chamber of Commerce's Center for Capital Markets Competitiveness had urged the administration to facilitate a quick acquisition of SVB, but it looks like this request fell on deaf ears when Secretary Janet Yellen refused any federal bailout for them. This could mean that consumers won't be able to access their funds. What a disaster. It comes as no surprise that Silicon Valley Bank is not affiliated with any technology company despite its name. Their primary focus was indeed lending tech companies and their employees money, meaning its failure could have far-reaching consequences for many Silicon Valley startups and the wider financial industry alike. But we mustn't forget that failures such as these are rare in today's financial system, leading one to reassess current financial regulations and possibly consider ESG policies when investing or banking with large corporations going forward. The takeaway, don't put all your eggs in one basket, or should I say bank, if you don't want them getting scrambled. In light of the Silicon Valley Bank failure, it's worth taking a step back and looking into the debate surrounding ESG, environmental, social, and governance policies. It's no secret that these practices have been gaining traction in recent years. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't still some valid arguments against their implementation in companies. For example, measuring and quantifying the impact of ESG practices on a company's financial performance can be incredibly difficult. It can also turn away existing customers and demotivate alienated employees. On top of this, many companies are guilty of greenwashing, falsely promoting environmental and social initiatives to improve public image without actually making meaningful changes. Consumers are starting to sniff this out. This is both unethical and leads to a lack of transparency regarding ESG implementations within businesses, something we should all take note of. At the end of the day, though, opponents argue that focusing on politics distracts from the core purpose of a company, namely generating profits for shareholders. Many even suggest leaving social and environmental issues up to individuals or nonprofits instead. So while it might be wise for corporations to keep ESG criteria in mind when making decisions, they must remember to balance this with good old-fashioned business sense if they're going to succeed in today's competitive market. It looks like Democrats have something to worry about going into the 2024 presidential election. A new political party, No Labels, has gained enough support to appear on the ballot in 3 states, potentially acting as a spoiler and handing the presidency to Republicans. Sure, there's been some controversy surrounding No Labels lately, with high-profile journalist Mark Halperin resigning from his position at the organization earlier in the week, but that doesn't seem to have stopped them from gaining access to 3 state ballots, and it's got Democrats worried that this could be deja vu all over again. No Labels aims to provide an alternative for centrist voters who don't want to choose between either of the 2 major parties, encouraging bipartisan solutions and cooperation between both sides of politics. However, many fear that this inclusion may split votes and lead us back down memory lane, where third-party candidates are blamed for influencing presidential outcomes, Ross Perot, 1992, and Ralph Nader, 2000. It remains unclear whether No Labels will gain access on more ballots or how much impact they'll have overall. But one thing is certain, it'd be wise for Democrats not take their chances if they want to stay in office. It looks like Canadian Catholic high school student Josh Alexander is learning a lesson in free speech the hard way. Reports have it that he was arrested and charged for expressing his belief that men and women are different. speaking out against men using women's restrooms at his school in Ontario. The charges against him remain unclear, but this story has caused some major controversy as it raises questions about our right to express our beliefs without fear of persecution. After all, Alexander claims he was just stating scientific fact, so did he really deserve to get hauled off for it? It's also worth noting how this incident highlights the ongoing debate around gender identity and rights of transgender individuals. While many people support their right to use whichever restroom they identify with, there remains an argument that this can be dangerous and violates the privacy of others. Finally, we must consider the role of religion when it comes to public schools. Sure, Catholic schools have a right to promote their beliefs, but do students have a right to express opinions which conflict with these values? It seems as if Josh Alexander has found himself firmly in between both sides here, and neither seem particularly happy about it. Ultimately, this is a complex and controversial issue which raises important questions about free speech, gender identity, and religion in public education, so one wonders whether justice will be served here or not. Well, that's all for today, folks. Thanks for joining me on the Mark Warsh Show. As always, remember, no matter what life throws at you, stay informed and stay motivated. If you like this content, then come join me on social media where we can continue having these conversations every day of the week. Until next time, stay safe and have a great one, everybody.